In the previous slide, we only used if statement. Here I'm going to use nested if-else statement. How? Look at the new function that I have here. It is called calc_y_nested. First, it checks whether x is less than -1. In that case, it assigns the value of 1 to variable y, and then it skips the rest of the commands until the end of the function. If the condition is false, that is, if x is at least -1, then MATLAB checks another condition. It verifies if x is smaller than 2. This is where you can see a nested if-else statement starts. So after realizing that x is at least -1 in line 4 of the code, then MATLAB checks if the value of x is smaller than 2, and if so, it computes the x squared and assigns that to a variable y. Else, if x is larger than 2, then MATLAB assigns the value of 4 to the output y. So we just saw two implementations for our function. Which one is better? Using independent if statements or using one if-else statement within another if-else statement? The answer is there is a higher chance that the nested if is faster compared to the other implementation. To see this, consider the cases in which x is less than -1. In this case, the nested if implementation immediately jumps to the end of function after assigning a value of 1 to the function, whereas the other implementation goes into two more if statements. In a sense, the other implementation does not see at all that the first if was successful. So it performs other if statement as well, which means it does extra steps in this case. How about the cases in which x lies between -1 and +2? Using similar arguments, the nested if also performs better in this case. The only situation that these two implementations perform similarly is the third case when x is larger than +2. In this case, both implementation has to test three conditions. You may think that this is a very small difference, which is not worth our consideration. I have to tell you that you are right if we perform this once. But think about codes with millions of these comparison commands and the applications that fraction of seconds are important. Then you realize that you have to be careful with the performance of your program.